From Fox News, Hurricane Dorian, Category 5 storm, makes landfall in Bahamas with 185-mile-an-hour winds. Look at this shit.
The latest is, up to a Category 5. That is the highest on the Saffir-Simpson scale in terms of categories of storms. I mean, you don't see that very often. 160-mile-per-hour sustained winds, a perfect beast of a storm. That center of the storm is a perfect circle. There's no cloud in the eye, and you can see all four quadrants of the storm are perfectly symmetrical. Very rare to see a Category 5. It doesn't happen very often, and they have certainly upgraded it. The difference between a 154 and a 160, a 150, 160, not a big difference, but when you talk about how beautiful the storm looks on satellite presentation and how potentially deadly this storm will be for the Bahamas. Prayers for the Bahamas, because this storm is going to slow down. And when you have the worst possible hurricane, the worst possible storm on your doorstep just crawling along, that is going to be devastating for parts of the northwestern Bahamas, unfortunately. It's terrible. Now, the track hasn't changed much, but I want to point your attention to the fact that the cone has moved a little bit more westward. A lot of folks like to pay attention to the center. I don't want you to pay attention to the center because as we go further out in time, there is a lot of uncertainty. There's been a lot of uncertainty with this storm as soon as it formed. We didn't have a good indication of where the center of the storm was. We thought it was going to go over Puerto Rico. It went north of Puerto Rico. So I will tell you, all of those reliable forecast models that we look at, there's a lot of question marks. So I want everyone along the east coast of Florida to pay close attention. This is not just an easy forecast. The fact that it's going to slow down, when does it slow down? We're at 8 miles per hour right now, barreling westward. When does it move northward? I can't really give you a good indication of that. So I need everyone to pay close attention as the storm continues to move westward. It's when it's going to make that northward curve that we might be out of the woods. But because the storm is going to slow down and we're talking about a hurricane for not just hours, but days, that is my concern. My concern is the computer models start going more westward, and now that cone has shifted, and we could be dealing with not just a tropical storm, but a hurricane on board the east coast of Florida. So big information here, Category 5, don't see it very often, potentially devastating, deadly blow to the northwestern Bahamas and the east coast of Florida, Georgia, Carolinas. Please pay attention. We're not just doing this to hype. We're not doing it to hype. We're trying to save lives here. So we'll keep you posted.
Hello, this is Dave from Net4Truth USA Whirlwind Revolt. And what I have here is a Baofeng UV5R dual band amateur radio, 5 watt, and it goes, you can tune this to the NOAA frequencies, and I just happen to have the NOAA frequency programmed in.
Panel mode.
Russell County Airport in Wilmington, it was fair. The temperature was 86 degrees, the dew point 68 degrees, and the relative humidity 54%. The wind was southwest at 10 miles
this
an hour.
Is the radio station in Philly that reports for this area. But they do have the Hurricane Dorian updates, and I'll stop this now and get to the point when they reach that point in the broadcast.
At 5 p.m. or 2100 UTC, the eye of Hurricane Dorian was located near latitude 26.8 north, latitude 78.4 west. Dorian has become nearly stationary this afternoon. A slow westward to west-northwestward motion is expected to resume overnight and continue into early Tuesday. A turn toward the northwest is forecast by late Tuesday, with a northeastward motion forecast to begin by Wednesday night. On this track, the core of extremely dangerous Hurricane Dorian will continue to pound Grand Bahama Island into Tuesday morning. The hurricane will then move dangerously close to the Florida East Coast late Tuesday through Wednesday evening, and then move dangerously close to the Georgia and South Carolina coasts on Wednesday night and Thursday. An Air Force Reserve Hurricane Hunter aircraft has found that maximum sustained winds are near 145 miles per hour, 230 km per hour with higher gusts. Dorian is a Category 4 hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale. Although gradual weakening is forecast, Dorian is expected to remain a powerful hurricane during the next couple of days. Hurricane force winds extend outward up to 45 miles, 75 kilometers from the center, and tropical storm force winds extend outward up to 150 miles, 240 kilometer. Sustained winds of 55 miles per hour, 89 kilometer per hour with a gust of 69 miles per hour, 111 kilometer per hour was recently reported at a NOAA coastal marine observing site at Settlement Point on the west end of Grand Bahama Island. A wind gust of 43 miles per hour, 69 km per hour was reported at Opa-locka Airport near Miami earlier this afternoon. The latest minimum central pressure reported by an Air Force Reserve Hurricane Hunter aircraft is 940 millibars, 27.76 inches. This is the surf forecast for the following county: Eastern Monmouth, New Jersey. High rip current risk in effect through this evening. Today, rip current risk high.
Now let's look at the buoy data again to see if it jibes with the news reports. Now let's look at the National Data Buoy Center, and we'll click on, I'll blow this up there so you can see it, Atlantic Hurricane Dorian. And let's see what the data is from the actual buoys that are floating around in the ocean. Now here is the data for the buoys. Observations near Hurricane Dorian, position as of 9/2 at 2100 Greenwich Mean Time. Gives you the latitude, longitude right here in case you want to poke it into Google Earth to see exactly where all these buoys are. But we see that the first one listed here is Sierra Papa Golf Fox 1, which is the one I covered in the previous video. We have a wind speed of 47 knots, gusts to 57 knots right here, right where I'm pointing my arrow here. And we'll scroll down the list and see if we can find any hurricane winds here on any of the buoys that are reported for Hurricane Dorian. 44 knots wind speed, gusts of 52 is the highest here. I don't see any hurricane Category 5 or Category 6 hurricane winds in this entire list of buoys. So who is right? And is this reporting being reported correctly? I don't know. I'm not a meteorologist, but I know for a fact that a buoy out in the middle of the ocean, shown on that map there, that we should have some hurricane force winds reported by buoys that are floating around in the ocean, and I just don't see anything. I just don't see wind speeds or gusts up that high. Nowhere near. So I don't know what to make of this, folks. Is the mainstream media bullshitting us? Is NOAA Weather Radio bullshitting me? I don't know. I just, yeah, let's go for past 10 hours. And we'll see that none of these buoys are reporting wind speeds or gusts that are anywhere near Category 5 or Category 6 hurricanes. I mean, this is typically what you'll find out in the middle of the ocean. I'm dumbfounded. I'm dumbfounded. I just don't know what to make of this, folks. It is now 1800 hours, September 2nd, 2019. And we see the mainstream media reporting hurricane force winds. We heard NOAA weather radio after listening to it for about 25 minutes. They played the tone that we can't play here because it's a copyrighted. It's a crime to play that tone, let's put it that way, before that report. And they gave a hurricane update, but it wasn't near as ominous as the mainstream media make this out to be. I'm not a meteorologist, but I would think it would be logical that if there's 165 mile an hour winds swirling around in the middle of the ocean, that one of the buoys would pick that up and report it. You would think. But who looks at buoy data is probably what they're thinking, or probably they don't even know that we have access to the buoy data live as it's coming from the buoys that we could peruse on the internet. So they concoct this bullshit story about a Category 5 working on Category 6 hurricane that's headed for the Florida coast. And by the way, it's going to pass by the Bahamas, right where Jeffrey Epstein had his little island there. And the Russian crews, the Bahamian police, New York police, and the FBI are digging through who knows how many meters of cement trying to find some dead bones somewhere. I don't know. I mean, it makes sense to me. Makes sense to me. Maybe this hurricane was concocted somehow. Now, I don't have any evidence, proof, beyond a reasonable doubt and to a moral certainty that the weather can be controlled. There's an axiom in the law, and it comes from a New York case, People versus Cleague. And it says, quote, "The danger with the use of circumstantial evidence is that of logical gaps, subjective inferential links of low probability or insufficient degree," end quote. I'll put the case citation down in the comments, down in the description section. I don't jump to conclusions, especially when lives are at stake. And if I was down in the area of the path of that hurricane, I would err on the side of caution and get the fuck out of there. That's probably what they want you to do. If this is a hoax, or if this is some bullshit story that the mainstream media along with the deep state conjured up. But I wouldn't bet my life on it. But I am still curious about why the buoys are not reporting these hurricane force winds. And the data is live. It's not like days ago. You can select the time period. I'll leave the link down in the description. Go and do it yourself. So I'm just questioning the conflicting data here. I'm just wondering why the reports are conflicting with the data that they use to gather information on these storms. And you have people reporting all of these floods and all of these winds that are knocking down trees and all this stuff, but you don't know if that's archived footage from another storm. You don't know that. I don't know that. I have no idea. Could be from Hurricane Sandy that you're looking at, that they never aired. Because they would make the mistake of airing something from Hurricane Sandy and attributing it to Hurricane Dorian. Somebody in this community would catch it and put it out there on Front Street and say, hey, listen, this shit here was broadcasted when they covered Hurricane Sandy. But that's a minuscule chance that somebody would catch that, because Hurricane Sandy was covered by everybody. I'm just wondering why the data is conflicting with the reports. That's all. Err on the side of caution. If you're in the path of this thing, and if you're in the reported path of this thing, either bunker down in place or get the hell out of the way. This is Dave from Net4 Truth USA Whirlwind Revolt. Thank you very much for listening. Please subscribe to our backup channels, Whirlwind Revolt, Inglorious Patriots, and Net4 Truth USA 2 Patriot channel. You can also find us at Net4 Truth USA on BitChute. We fly so close to the target, we're on our 4th fighter jet. We will be relentless truth seekers until the enemies of freedom are defeated. You can support this channel by using the links in the description, but for a $100 donation, I will personally send you a autographed hardcover special edition copy of Land of Childhood's Fears. Also, visit my bookstore at lulu.com/net4truth USA. If you are viewing this video on BitChute, you can use the links in the description to support us, or simply click the green $ dot on our video to support this channel. Thank you. Links are in the description section.